You know, my grandma, she had a saying. It's a very common saying. You should know it very, very well. She said that never count your chickens before they hatch. And you know, I was talking about how the Trump administration was doing a drawdown when it comes to Afghanistan, according to some sources, and in some sources, like you know, the more right-leaning sources, like One American News, they would have you believe that he's ending the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, when that's exactly not the case. Exactly what I said it was going to be. We're not going to just abandon Kandahar airfield. It's the largest NATO base on the planet. We're not going to just abandon that, because it's going to be just like Japan, Germany, Ireland, you name it. Like any other place that we've ever been in, we're going to leave troops behind. It's just what it's going to be. So we need to we need to just come to terms with our national security policy and our homeland security policy and our domestic policy and our foreign policy, and our policy is to always interfere, stay, meddle, stay some more, charge taxpayers, start wars. That's our pattern. Now, then I hear about how Donald Trump wanted to strike Iran. Iran, you wanted to do a military strike on a target in Iran. Let me explain to you the difference between Iraq and Iran. You know, Iraq, the original ground invasion, that was over in 2 weeks. They sent in like Third ID. And Third ID is no joke. Third Infantry Division. They sent in the Rangers. They sent in. They went after it. Those boys did a good ground and pound campaign. It was beautiful. All right. The actual ground war against Saddam's forces was only 2 weeks. What we fought after that was an insurgency. I want you to understand something. You're not going to end a war with Iran in 2 weeks. See, what we'd be facing then is surgical strikes, military strikes, missile strikes, stuff that we haven't really faced before when it came to Iraq and Afghanistan. For the most part, we've been dealing with bombs, IEDs, you know, stuff like that. You know, small, you know, basically like small arms, mostly primitive stuff. We're not dealing with up armored vehicles and tanks. You know, generally speaking. But with Iran, you're dealing with that. Now, I've heard Bush, I've heard Obama, I've heard Trump all say the exact same thing. Iran is the number one sponsor, number one state sponsor of terrorism. Well, if you are the number one state sponsor of terrorism, then that tells me that if I were to strike you, all those resources that you are spread out across the lands with ISIS and everybody else, you're then going to focus it in one place and direct it at me or one of my allies. You know, haven't we been dicking around in the Middle East long enough? You know, sticking our nose in the desert where it doesn't belong? Haven't enough of my battle buddies died? Why do you then want to strike Iran when you know what that's going to cause? And no, I don't want to hear no nonsense saying that he wasn't going to do it. No, it's been confirmed he was going to do it. And in fact, I was suspecting it for a long time, because the way he kept talking, it sounded like he wanted war. Now he can keep pushing this whole anti-war thing if he wants to, and the whole thing with drawing down troops in you know, in those theaters that are over there. That's all well and good, but it doesn't mean anything if you strike Iran and we have to send in even more of our brave young men and women to another combat zone that they don't have to actually be in. Now, I have 3 theories as to why he would do this. First theory is that he just doesn't like Iran, and that's kind of a given. But multiple things can be true at the same time. So I think that one is going to be a constant. So it's going to be at least 2 to 3 things, in my opinion. Doesn't like Iran, or he's crazy. That's very possible. Though you can just say that's subjective. Let's just throw that one out. Or third one, he's trying to make things bad for the next administration. See, I think it's number 1 and number 3. I think that he does not like Iran, and two, he just want to screw things up for the next administration because he tried to cheat to get into the White House. You're not getting that. Your lawsuits ain't going over. In Mr. Muy Guapo No Mas, the little long streak on side of his face, Mr. Rudy Giuliani, Mr. If massive election voter fraud, it wouldn't happen in places that actually obey the law, like his home, like the place that he was mayor of in New York City. Yeah, they totally respect the laws, Rudy. I totally believe you. Cool story, bro. All right, cool story, bro. Did you watch that press conference where he had that long streak of hair dye that was rolling down his face? It was the most disgusting thing. I'm like, somebody please wipe that man's face. But anyways, I should have mentioned that in the last video, but I didn't do that. I just thought it was funny that it was so weird. But when you look at all this stuff, right? I'm thinking to myself, so you're trying to get Rudy to win you an election through the courts. You're trying to get the Supreme Court to give you an election. You are trying to win the election via Congress having more congressional districts. Having more congressional districts that are Republican, and simply install you as president like a freaking dictator. And now that I see that you tried that, now it would be harder for me to believe that you are starting to. That you were trying to start a war or a conflict with, or a military conflict with Iran, just to make things bad for Joe Biden. But you're trying to cheat right now. And see, that's why I believe that you tried to make things bad for Joe Biden. And that's just petty. And not only is that petty, that's dangerous, because right now we are in a global pandemic. I don't give a damn what Iran is doing right now. Take all that money that you're spending on missiles and spend it right here. Save a business. Give people more than $1,200. Bail out the small business. Bail out the American family. I don't give a damn what happens in the Middle East right now. Whatever happens in Israel just fucking happens. There are people who are hungry right now, who are homeless for the first time in their life right now. I don't give a damn what's happening in Japan, in the Middle East, freaking Australia, Canada. Fuck them. Fuck them. You said America first, right? So why the hell do I care about if Iran gets nuclear weapons? Whatever. Let them get it. So long as they don't attack America, I don't give a damn. Because a lot of my enemies have nukes. Russia has freaking nukes too. And they've got more reasons to bomb us than Iran does. So does China, especially recently. So let's just stop with this whole nonsense. Whatever happens in the Middle East just happens. We need to have no hand in it. And the fact that he even considered, he even had a thought of a consideration of bombing Iran. It just reminds me of Hillary Clinton. Bomb Iran. She's sitting there joking about the shit, and now you as president actually considered it. And yet you told me that if I picked Hillary Clinton, right, we'll be at war with Iran. What did you just try to do? Donald Trump needs to realize something. That had he went peacefully out into the night, he could have won again in 2024. But at this point, with some of the stuff that's coming out now, I need him to get out of office sooner rather than later, because he's trying to break things on the way out. And in any other scenario, maybe people could tolerate that. But given what's happening around the world right now, it's time to stop. It's time to concede. It's time to leave. And don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. And people can get as mad as me about saying that as they want. When you're talking about starting a new conflict with another country who I know is far more dangerous than any foe that we've faced in the Middle East for the past 20 years, well, that makes my decision to stop supporting you even easier. Anyways, that's all I gotta say, guys. Azul is taking a nap because I walked the heck out of him. just now, and he had a good time. This morning we went to go play fetch, and he's knocked out, so he's sleepy right now. Anyways, I'm out. Horns up, and peace out.